Hello everyone, I am Tiberius Dawnbringer. Welcome back to my channel, and it's nice to be back outside in the woods in nature. It is almost 90 degrees, but I don't really care. Well, I care a little, but I'm just so happy to be back out here that I can deal with it, you know. So I did a mini series of videos about stones that I have and the chakras they're related to. All that was indoors, and as much as I was enjoying making those videos, I also couldn't wait to get done with them because I wanted to get back out here and get back to making videos out here. So here we are, and the last video I left off with out here was I was talking about synchronicities and manifestations. And then I was giving examples of those particular things that I experienced through my time, at least since I started doing my spiritual awakening 8 or 9 years ago. And excuse me, microphone cord got stuck. And where was I? Oh. But you know, it was a long video, so the time frame I got to was like roughly the time I got out of the service up until right before I moved back to my hometown in Maryland. And that was a couple years ago, so I'm going to go over examples I experienced with that journey. And I don't imagine it's going to take, well, it won't take as long as the other one did, but this is my third and final part of my spiritual awakening story, and I'm going to give further examples of synchronicities and manifestations that I experienced in the past 2.5 to 3 years. So where I left off, I believe I was still living in a place in South Carolina that I enjoyed living there, but I had gotten to a point where I felt like I was becoming stagnant energetic wise. I was running out of ideas and motivation, and I was just tired of being there. And I mentioned it in the last video how I never felt comfortable being in South Carolina and was just ready to leave. And I figured the reason why everything was becoming stagnant was because that was the universe trying to tell me, it's like, you know, hey dude, you're pretty much done here, and you know, nothing's gonna happen. There's gonna be no movement if you stay here. And so it just got to where I started feeling like that until I finally realized, you know what, I think it's time for a change. So when I figured out, well, I set the intention that I was done with South Carolina, like forever. I didn't want to like go live somewhere else for like a year or two and then come back, or like a few months and come back, you know, or anything like that. I was done with South Carolina for as long as I can, you know, kind of thing. And I wanted to manifest me going somewhere else, moving somewhere else where I was needed, where I needed to go, where I could help people and, you know, begin exercising in my journey of healing. Because I had just gotten certified as a Reiki master healer, but I wasn't really doing anything with it because I only had it for like 4 or 5 months about 6 months maybe, before I moved to Maryland. So I wanted to go somewhere where I was needed, where I could do some good, and I could further along in my spiritual path. So I set the intention, and I declared that I was going to manifest this to happen. And within just a couple of weeks, I started getting a lot of messages that were telling me all these places. And in the beginning, it didn't seem like it was all scattered all over the country, all over the nation. There were places on the West Coast that were coming up, and I was like, you know, like, let's try to narrow it down. So, over the next week and a half, it narrowed down consistently to like, pretty much just a few places. And the one place that started showing up a lot was Maryland, just the state of Maryland. And I was like, all right, well, that's interesting. I'm from Maryland. I wonder how close to home I would get. And then it pretty much narrowed down to like the county that I was from. And I was like, no frickin' way. Like, I mean, there's plenty of family that was still here. And I was like, well, that could be options for me moving there, is like if any of the family could help me out with that, and that was just some ideas I had. And so I was like, all right, well, let's see what happens. I don't know how it's going to happen, but let's see what happens. So I set the intention to get to where, pretty much to bring in what I would need in order to help me move to this part of Maryland that I was going to go to in relatively a reasonable amount of time. Like, I was giving it like 3 or 4 months. It's like 3 or 4 months, I want to be living in Maryland again, in this place, this particular region. That's where I want to go. And shortly after that, I went to this yoga studio that I frequented there, and there was a woman that was working at the front desk who I had never actually spoken to her personally, like to her, and bleh. But I knew who she was. I knew what her position was. She mainly spoke to my sister because we did a lot of work at this yoga studio as well, doing a lot of electrical work there. So we knew the owner and we knew like half the staff, and this woman was like the main manager of the establishment. So I was talking to her and she's like, oh yeah, I know who you are. And I was like, well, that's cool. And she's like, so what have you been up to? It's like, I'm planning on moving to Maryland. She's like, oh, that's interesting. My boyfriend lives in Maryland. And I'm like, well, okay. Where does he live in Maryland? She's like, the southern part. And I'm like, that's interesting. That's close to where I'm from. It's like, what town was he living in? And she named a town, and I was like, no way. That's actually the town I was born in. And she just looked at me like, oh my God. Like, we both came to that connection like, that's very coincidental, So I started talking to her. Well, she actually started talking to me. She's like, that's interesting because he's actually has a place he wants to rent out to somebody, and so on. I was like, well, that's an interesting coincidence as well. I'm looking for a place to live. So, long story short, she introduced me to her boyfriend. He did construction work and electrical work. He had his own business for a little while. We got along pretty well. He was back and forth from Maryland to South Carolina because, his girlfriend's in South Carolina, and he was helping her remodel her kitchen. So I was like, well, I need some money because at this time my sister had closed her business down, which I already knew was going to happen just through synchronicities and stuff. And the timing was interesting because I was like, well, this definitely, cements it that, hey, your time here is coming to an end. You no longer have this comfortable job, to keep you afloat. You're either going to have to get a job you hate or be committed to actually moving to Maryland. So I knew that was happening. But I didn't have any money, or I had money, but I didn't have a job to keep making money. So I offered to help this guy remodel the kitchen. He offered to pay me some money for it, and I was like, that's awesome. So I took that as an opportunity not just to make some extra income before I moved, but to get to know the guy better, because he was going to potentially be my future landlord, which he did end up becoming my landlord. And it pretty much worked out the way I expected it to. We finished doing the remodel on the kitchen, and he agreed to rent out the space he had, the studio apartment he had available to me. And once that happened, I pretty much went to my current landlord, and at this point I had been doing month to month with her, and I let her know that I was going to be moving out and moving to Maryland and all that. She was sad to see me go. I was kind of sad to go because, to be honest, I've said it before, I liked living in that place. It was an awesome place. I didn't even mind the raccoons that went through the trash right outside my bedroom door or window. Those guys. But anyways, so it was set. I was moving to Maryland, and February 1st of 2019, I packed up everything, including my cat. Of course, including my cat, and we moved to Maryland and moved into that place. So that part of the journey was over and done with. After that, the first couple of weeks was more just me like enjoying the fact that I was there, and meeting with family and stuff, and getting used to their schedules and routines so I could adjust my schedule and routine around theirs. But it got to a point, and getting my vehicle registered, license plate tags, all the logistical stuff I spent the first few weeks doing. After that, I was like, all right, well, I have some money, but I can't get comfortable with this. I need to find a source of income. So I was trying to look around online for stuff, and I just couldn't come up with anything. And at this time, I was working with a pendulum. I wish I thought about this. I would have brought it with me, but I'm actually planning on doing a video about pendulums in the near future. So anyways, pendulum is mostly, it's a device that's, like it has a thing you hold on to, and it has a small chain, and at the end is usually most of the ones I've seen have crystals on them, but it can be any number of things. Some I've seen are just these metal cylinders, but anyways, a pendulum can be used for divination purposes. So I was kind of practicing with that because it's just something else I was doing, and I used that to kind of help me find an answer to my question, which was, what do I need to do to find a job that will pay me well and keep me secure while I'm transitioning into Maryland. And what I got was someone's name, actually, and this person I knew because they are, they're not married to, but pretty much they're married to a cousin of mine, so I knew this person already. And so I spoke to this person. I was like, hey, I'm looking for a job, can you help me out? And he gave me the name of this guy who owned this company, where it was like an electrical company, but they mainly worked on docks. Like they would repair docks, they would tear them down and build new ones and do all the electrical work that is involved with docks, which is more than I realized, but it was something I knew how to do. So I get the job, and I only had it for like not even a month, 2 or 3 weeks max. I had this job, and I'm actually glad. I'm very glad that that's the longest I had that job. It involved me getting up really early to get to the job, but we also got to leave at like 3 to 4 in the afternoon, which was nice, but it was a lot of work. I was doing it during some of the coldest months, or coldest time of the year in Maryland, and working on the water when it's freezing sucks. I'm not gonna lie, it sucks, especially when you get wet. Like a wave splashes up, and your gloves get wet, and now your hands are freezing. Anyways, so I did this job only for a few weeks, and I'm glad. One, the paychecks I got were good. They helped. They definitely helped financially because I needed that. But the guy that hired me on, he assumed that I was a technician, that I was tech ready, meaning he could put me in a work van and I could go out and do jobs on my own, which I was not. And I don't know how he got that idea, but whatever. And So I kind of realized that last week that he was probably not going to keep me on. But whatever, I still had a job until then. The last week I worked there, or last couple of days I worked there, I was working at this one house, and it was a very annoying job. And we were there for a long time, longer than we should have been. But, the last day I worked was a Friday. That morning, the guy told me, he's like, I don't have anything for you next week. And I probably won't have anything for you the following week. So if you end up finding another job, no hurt feelings. I can read between the lines. I knew what he was saying was, you're not coming back. We don't have any more work for you. So that was going to be my last day pretty much. So anyways, and it sucked. It was a horrible last day. We were there, it was a Friday. We usually get off at like 3-ish. We didn't get off till after 6. The sun was already setting by the time we got off. And the only reason we got off was because I pretty much told the guy that I was done working. I already packed up the van. And I sat in there, I was like, I'm going to sit in this van until you're ready to go home. But I am done. And the reason why was because I was in an excruciating amount of pain. I may have mentioned it before, but I had this injury with my shoulder back in the Navy service. And sometimes, like, my neck and my shoulder gets really bad too. Like, if I aggravate it too much, it starts going into my neck and my shoulders. Well, I was up and down on ladders all day long in this person's basement where it's just cement, doing work for hours. Only had like a 20-minute break to eat my lunch, how dare you eat a lunch? They take time off for you eating a lunch, and the guy I worked with was kind of a jerk about it too. But whatever, So I was in very bad pain around like 3 to 4 o'clock. So I was like, well, we're supposed to be getting off anyways, so I'll just go ahead and start packing up stuff. And the more I tried to pack up stuff, he was like, what are you doing? We're not done. We have lots of work left to do. I was like, dude, it's time to go. He's like, we're not leaving here until we're done. And I was like, what the fuck, So anyways, I worked for a couple more hours. It hurt. It sucked. I finally said, screw it. I'm done. And you're done too. And I was like, if I have to Uber home, I will Uber home. But I am not working anymore. So anyways, that was done. And then the next 4 days was horrendous. The next 2.5 days, I was pretty much bedridden. So I'm very thankful that I didn't have to work anymore the next couple of days. I'm glad it was the weekend. And then like the Monday came, I would have gone back to work. I was like, I'm glad I'm not working because I would not be able to work. I'd be in so much pain, and they probably force me to work, and I'd have to do something, and it would just make it worse. Anyways, what I learned from that experience, which I didn't realize till shortly after, was that kind of work was not what I was meant to keep doing. There was a time, throughout my life when that work was there and it was plentiful and it was perfect for me. But no longer was I meant to do that kind of work. So I had to experience that excruciating pain from that job to realize that. And I was like, you know what? I'm totally cool with that. There's got to be some other avenues out there that I can go down that will lead me to financial stability and abundance and not involve me practically killing myself every day to make that kind of money. And so I decided that I was done with that, and I was not looking for any more work like that ever again. So I moved on from that. I found a place. Well, I wanted to manifest, I wanted to do Reiki shares again, because I was doing Reiki shares the last 4 or 5 months before I moved. Once a month, I would do a Reiki share at this studio I frequented. I wanted to do that again. I wanted to practice more. But I found a couple places, but what it ended up turning into was, instead of me finding a place to practice Reiki shares, I actually ended up just starting my own business as a Reiki practitioner or Reiki master healer in these establishments. I got hooked up with 2 places like immediately, and then third place later on, which I'll get to down the road. Man, it's already 20 minutes. So I put that intention out there that I wanted to do this. I didn't want to just do Reiki shares. I wanted to actually make a business out of this, make a career out of this. I wanted to take the next step and actually start doing the work and making that my life. And so after that, it was just everything just kept coming to me. I was getting the phone calls, I was getting the interviews, I was getting the hey, you need to do this, you need to do that, bring your certificate in so we can print it out. I got the place set up, I got the scheduling, I got everything within like just a few weeks. It all just came to me. It all manifested like right there in front of me, and it was awesome. So I did that for a little while, but I knew starting off that it wasn't going to be self-sustainable. It wasn't going to be something that was going to keep me afloat financially because I was brand new. Nobody knew me, and it was literally the first time I was doing this kind of work. So I manifested another job where I delivered pizzas. Easy job. I know how to do it. It helps. Delivering pizzas is awesome, especially when you move to like a brand new place. If you're not really looking for any particular type of career right off the bat, delivering pizzas is great, at least for like a few months, because you get to learn the geography of the place, the layout of the land really well doing that. So it's a helpful tool, and it helps to make decent money. So I was doing both of those things for a while. I'm going to try to skip ahead some. It got to the point where the place I was living was not livable. It didn't take long, but like the shower drain didn't work properly. I'd go in there, and it was a standing shower. I'd stand there and I'd start the shower, and like I'd have 3 minutes to get shampoo in my hair quickly enough before it was so backed up that I had to shut off the valve, shut off the water, give it time to drain, and then start it back up, rinse my hair out, hopefully in time before it backed up again, and then I'd dry off and get out. That's how it was for months. And it was really annoying. I complained about it enough, the guy snaked it, and for like a whole month it worked beautifully, but then it stopped up again and it got worse than the time before. Then the toilet started getting affected as well, because it was on the same drain line as the shower. So I bitched enough about it to where my landlord was finally take a look at it. He tried to snake it again, that didn't work. Come to find out that somewhere along the drain line it literally was cracked, and like earth, soil, roots, all that kind of stuff was getting into it, and that's what was causing the blockage. And the only way to fix it was literally to tear out the bathroom, tear up the concrete floor, and dig down till you found it, fix it, and then do everything back in reverse. Put the dirt back in, cement the floor, set the foundation, build a brand new bathroom, and then it was done. And it was something that was probably going to take at least a couple of months. And I was still living there, so it was just like there was no way for it to get fixed while I was living there. So I got super annoyed with this to the point to where I talked to my family that lived on this farm. They still live on this farm. Actually, it's the farm I'm living on now. And asked if they could help me out. My original intention was that I could move in with somebody for like 3 months, however long it took to fix this thing. And I would stay with them. He'd get it fixed. As soon as it was fixed, I'd move back in. That was the original intention. But when I came to him about that, he gave me all the wrong answers. He's like, well, I can't fix it. Why not? I'm flat broke. That's terrible. Why are you flat broke? I'm giving you money. Like, what's going on? And so he explained to me, he's like, well, I would need your help to do it and all this. And I'm like, but I'm your tenant. I'm not supposed to help you with this. You're supposed to be able to do all this on this. Have you never been a landlord before? You know? So I was like, well, how's this going to work out? And he was like, well, I would pretty much need you. I was like, I'll move out. I won't pay you for the time that I'm not living here because it makes sense. I'm not going to pay you if I'm not living there. So I'll move out, and you can do your thing and all that. And he's like, well, I can't do it without your money. I need your money to do this. I'm like, so you're telling me that every month I'll pay you money, we'll do that much amount of work on this, and then I'm just going to have to sit around until the next month comes around and I give you more money and do that. I was like, no, that's absolutely not going to happen. And he was like, well, I'd need your help to do this. Even though he already had like 3 or 4 other guys, he's like, I need your help to do this. And I'm like, 1, I shouldn't be doing that. And 2, how are you going to pay me? You don't have any money. He's like, well, I figured I'd just, whatever you worked, I'd take it out of your rent. And I'm like, but you need my rent in order to fix this. And then he had this look on his face like, oh, fuck. Like he realized this dilemma we're in. So that's when I realized I was no longer meant to live here anymore. And I didn't want to live here anymore. I had suffered through it for like months and I was done. So I set the intention that I wanted to move out of there and move in somewhere that I could afford, that worked for me. And I ain't gonna lie, I really was hoping to move on to the farm. There was another house at the end of the road that this guy who made kabukus of money was living in for like $500 a month. And I'm like, and he was like never home because he was always working out somewhere else. I'm like, why won't this guy leave? Like, this is something I tried to manifest like for months. I was like, this guy's got money, like let him buy his own house somewhere and move out so I can move into that place. I could easily afford that and I could deal with it, So really wanted that place. So I was like, well, maybe this is my opportunity. I don't know. But anyways, that didn't happen. What ended up happening was I had another family member who lived in this one house by herself, and the other people that lived there from time to time, I talked to them, I explained to them my situation. I was like, look, I don't have the money to find another place. I can't afford anything else because where I'm at in Maryland is, oh God, it's expensive. It is insanely expensive. Even like crappy 1-bedroom, 1-bathroom apartments here are insane. It's stupid insane. But moving on. So I was my aunt. Okay, so I explained to him that I was like, if you want rent, we'll deal with that, but like just understand that I don't really have money right now, so please help me out just for a few months. So they offered me their room at this house for 3 to 4 months until I had enough time, until I found something else. So while I was there, and they didn't charge me anything, so while I was there, I was just working and saving up money and trying to find a place. And I was trying to get a place with my girlfriend at the time, which I totally skipped that story. I'll try to get to that, but that never worked out. And I understand now why it didn't work out, even though it still saddens me a little. But point is it got to the point where, it was 3 months was up. I maybe had another month to live at this place before I needed to find another place. So I was like, all right, universe, now is the time. I need that place to show up. I need what I can afford to show up. Place I'm going to be comfortable. Place that I'm going to be enjoy. And all that. Just the place that I could handle. And literally the next day, that seems to be a pattern, right? I ask for these things in like 24 to 48 hours, I get something. The next day, I get a call from another family member who also lives on the farm, telling me that the guy that was living at that end house I mentioned earlier was actually moving away, and it was going to be available, in like a couple of weeks. And so I snatched that up and was like, I know it, universe, you set this up perfect. Good job. Yeah. So that's what I moved into. That's what I've been living in. I'm still in there now. And I am thankful. If I haven't thanked you recently, universe, thank you for that. You helped me so much, and showing me time and time again that when I ask, when I set the intention, as long as it serves my highest good, it happens. It happens. Manifestation happens. It is something we are able to do, and I am hoping that my long-winded stories are giving you guys an idea that it does actually work. This is my personal testimony. So I will try to wrap it up because we are just hitting 30 minutes, and I don't really have much else to say. So I don't know, after that, somewhere around that time, I was speaking to the universe, and I was like, universe, I have not experienced a relationship in about 12 years. I had been involuntarily celibate, and I understand now why. I had a lot of personal work to do on myself, and I was too busy doing other types of healing and experiencing other things, that relationships was not a priority of mine, and the universe was making sure that it would not become a priority of mine. Even though I tried, it was not for lack of trying. But I finally got to a point where I was like, universe, spirit, somebody, I was like, I'm done experiencing celibacy. I want to experience love with another person. I want to have a relationship. I am ready. I want to get back into the game, whatever you want to call it. I want to manifest this more than anything else. This is what I want. And it wasn't like a 24-hour later thing, no, but it was interesting because at the time I was, looking for other places I could do my Reiki, like other studios or businesses. And a friend of mine, a shaman, a mentor, and a friend, he taught me some stuff for a few months. But he was the one that told me about this other place that it was like a 35-minute drive from where I lived, but it was a holistic store that he went to, and he told me to go check it out, talk to the lady there. She would, probably take me on or do something. And I kind of pushed it off for like a few weeks because I was like turned off by the distance. I was like, I don't want to go all the effing way out there to do that kind of work, But one day I was, off work, and I was coming back from somewhere, and I just happened to be like on the path to that place. And something inside was like, dude, you've got the time, just go check it out. So I went to check it out. I get there, and it was a cool place. I was fascinated by a store. Out of all the places I had gone to anywhere, it was by far the best. It had the most material that I had seen in one place, except for the place in Boulder, Colorado, but it was a very close second. So yeah, and I met the woman, and she was awesome. We talked for a while, and I was like, all right, cool. Well, and I bought I might have shown it to you in one of my other videos, but I had this big rough piece of tiger's eye, or that's the first thing I bought from there, I believe. So I bought that and left, and on the way home I was like, shit, I never even brought up doing Reiki at her place. So I was like, no big deal, I'll come back in like a couple weeks and try again. But I was thinking about it, I was like, she was really cute, and we kind of resonated really well. I was like, that's awesome, And so I just thought about it, but I was like, whatever. So like a few weeks later, I went back, and by this time I think I had business cards. I made business cards for the other places and for myself. And so I went in there, and this time we talked for a while, and I mentioned the business cards first. I got that out of the way. And then I looked around, bought a couple other things, but I talked to her even longer, and we talked for like over an hour. And I was like, man, this woman's pretty awesome. And I could tell she was liking my energy too. But I was like, all right, man, well, we'll come back. Leave on a good note, we'll come back. So I left, and I think a month went by, and I was like, I just want to go back and talk to her and tell her how I feel and see if she just wanted to go on a date or something. So I go back, and as soon as I walk in, she gives me this look like, holy hell, it's that guy, it blew her mind that I was there. So we talked for a while, and it took me a while because it'd been over a decade. I felt like I was learning to ride a bike again. But anyways, I was like, just do it, just say it, dude. So I finally told her, I was like, look, I like you, and I would like to go on a date with you, or if you just want to start dating, we could do that too. I kind of stuttered through it, but she got the message and she said yes. And that was probably one of the best relationships I've had in my life up to that point. It lasted like almost a year, but it was awesome because I didn't mention this earlier, but I was telling the universe, is like, not only do I want to manifest a girlfriend into my life, but I want someone who's spiritually vibing with me, that's all about this spiritual community and spiritual growth and Reiki and healing and crystals and this and that and the other, all that. And this is exactly the kind of person I got into my life, and she helped me heal so much. She helped me learn so much. She helped me to understand how much I know, because I got to teach her stuff too. And we would talk for hours every day about stuff that had to do with this type of topic, this type of work. And it was incredible. And she eventually allowed me to, or invited me to work with her at her shop. And that gave me even further education. That's actually where I learned the majority of stuff I know about the stones that I did videos and stuff on. I learned all that from her place. I experienced that. I got to do Reiki out of there. I actually had the most clients out of her place than the other places combined. And it worked out well because she was Reiki certified as well, and people would come in, and she was only working there by herself for a long time. So usually if somebody wanted a service, she would have to schedule them for like after she closed, and they'd have to come back and she could do it. Well, now it was like I was proficient enough to run the store to where somebody would come in and be like, I'd like to have Reiki service done. And I'd be like, all right, do you want her? Do you want me? Which one? Pick one. And they pick one, and that person would go set up for like 10 minutes and then take the person back and just do the service right there immediately, while the other person watched the store. So it worked out tremendously for both of us to do that. So I learned a lot there. It was incredible. It helped with my financial situation as well. And it's just pretty awesome. The whole thing was awesome. I'm trying to think if there's any more examples of manifestation synchronicities, but I don't know, that's ever since then. That was like the end of last year. Ever since then, we parted ways, and I was like, okay, universe, I love working at this place, but I need something more survivable than this. I've pretty much, the first 2 years of me living here was learning about my issues with money and how I was constantly experiencing financial lack, and I couldn't seem to shake it off. And I know now why, is because I looked at money with such disdain, because the monetary system is just this screwed up thing that we all exist in, and it's just a toxic joke. And so I was like, I don't want to live in a world with money. And I do believe that that's going to happen within our lifetimes, where money's just not going to be a thing anymore. It's already kind of happening. And it's just the way it is, like we are evolving as a global community and as a species to where the systems we have now are pretty much becoming obsolete. They just aren't sustainable anymore. And now we're looking into things that are sustainable. And none of that involves something like a monetary system. Big subject. I look forward to making a video about that in the future, because there's a lot that could be said about it. But for the purposes of this video, I'm going to stop it right there. So anyways, I had this, I hate money, I want to be rid of money. But the way that the universe is translating it is like, you don't want money, so we're going to give you enough to survive, barely. But, that's it. You want to experience lack? Then we will give you an abundance of lack. So that's what I was going through. So it was like, when I finally figured that out, I was like, no more. No more universe. I need sustainable abundance financially. No more of this lack. I get it now. I understand it. Money is just a tool, and the intention of the tool is the intention of the user. If I have good intentions, then the money is good. It's just that the majority of the intentions that money is used for is not so good, and that's what we experience in this reality. So understanding that, and I hope by saying that maybe I told you guys something that resonates with you. Don't hate money. It's what we got to work with now, and it's okay to want an abundance of it, especially because to me, the more I have, I can take care of myself, but I don't need a lot to take care of myself. All that excess abundance from money would actually help me to do more things I want to do for the world and everyone around me, you know? So bring it on. I would totally use that for good ends, for good purposes, you know? So I was like, hey, this job isn't sustainable. I need one that will sustain me. That's easy. I could deal with it and all that. And like a day or two later, I ran into my shaman friend again. We were hanging out, and I didn't even say anything to him about a job. He mentioned to me, he's like, the place I work at is hiring, and you should try to apply for it. And I was like, that's so weird, because that's exactly what I was, going to ask about. And he's like, well, I can help you. So because I knew him, that gave me my way in. And like a week later, I got hired at this place. It paid really well. The job was relatively easy. And for like, I think 6 months, that's what I did. And that's really what my focus was for 6 months. Working there, making that money, and being sustained, being comfortable, and getting into that idea of the comfort of financial abundance. I was released from that job a few months ago, which I was absolutely ready to leave because the energy there was extremely toxic, and it just was another reminder to me of, hey, this isn't what you're meant to do. All right? We did this to help you out when you were in a tough spot, but this isn't what you're meant to do. What you are meant to do is out there, and you're very close to figuring it out. And when you figure out what you want to do, other things are going to come your way. Things are just going to keep coming your way, and you're going to create your own financial abundance and stuff like that. And it's going to go far beyond what any normal, regular job would provide for me. And that's why this is probably the most exciting part of my life right now, is I am manifesting that right now. And the work I'm doing with this, the work I do outside, like I found another place to do Reiki in, that's helping me out. And I have other situations I won't get into because I kind of like to keep my privacy, but I've got other stuff going on that's helping me financially. But that's just to get me going, to help keep me afloat while I'm getting all this other stuff set up. So that is my plan right now for as long as I can, as foreseeable future. I am going to manifest doing what I love and doing what I'm passionate about to, achieve not just financial abundance, but, spiritual abundance. I plan on one day actually standing in front of people, on stage, doing live events, talking to people, bringing, consciousness awareness and all that kind of stuff to the masses. That's what I want to do. I want to speak my truth, and there be people that want to hear it and will benefit from it. That's what I want to do. I'm also wanting to get into, I want to learn about sacred sexuality, because I want to teach that to the world, that sexuality is sacred, and just most of humanity has forgotten that over the hundreds of thousands of years that we've lived thinking that sex is this other thing, and it's so much more. There's so much spirituality around sex itself, and I want to inform the world of that because I see it, and I've experienced it most of my life, even when I didn't realize what it was. especially now, I understand it more. I understand it better, and I want to learn as much as I can and teach it. I also understand that the side benefit from that would be to learn about, sexual trauma and how to heal those traumas, those wounds. There's a lot of people in this world that have experienced those kinds of wounds, those scars. I want to help with that. And, mainly with adults, but there's also a lot of children out there. I'm going to go into a somewhat uncomfortable topic real briefly, but there is a lot of child trafficking that's been going on for many, many years, and it's horrendously abundant, but it's coming to an end. And, all these children are going to get rescued, and they're going to need help. They are going to need tremendous amounts of healing. And we're going to need people that are going to come forward and volunteer their time to help work with these children. And that might be something I get into as well. If I'm going to be helping adults, I can help children as well. And part of me bringing up that ugliness is part of bringing up awareness. We need to become aware of that. Maybe you're someone who's already knowledgeable about this kind of work, or are resonating with it and considering doing it. I would not try to steer you away from that. We have a lot of injured souls on this planet, and they are going to need healing, and they are going to need help, and they are going to need love from each and every one of us. So if you're thinking about it, don't think about it anymore. Keep doing it, or just do it. Just make that choice to do it. Manifest that into your life. Make it a part of your reality. I've talked long enough, and I've pretty much given you all the examples I can give in this timely manner. And if you're still listening, I appreciate you, and I appreciate the opportunity for this exchange. And excuse me. And I would like to once again express my gratitude to the universe and all of you for everything I've experienced thus far. And I'm just enjoying this little adventure that we're on together. All right? I love you all. Have a great day. And peace.